All right, number 13 and 14. Again, this is chapter 6.2. Still reducing radicals and things like that. This is all just adding and subtracting radicals. Whenever you've got the same base, if you're multiplying the same base, you add them. If you are dividing the same base, you're subtracting the exponents. So in this case, and you treat each one separately. So I'll treat my x's together, and the y's and z's have nothing to compare with, so they're not going to change at all, other than this negative right there. All right. So let's take care of the x's first. All right. I got one on top of the other. So this is x to the 1 minus the 3/4. 1 minus 3/4 is 1/4. So I've got x to the 1/4. And because it's positive, it goes on top. I had more of them on top than I did on bottom, so it goes on top. If I had more on bottom than on top, it would go on bottom. That's just how it works. Okay? The y's and the z's don't really change a whole lot. So the y's stay 1/3 because there's nothing to merge it with. The z is negative, so to fix the negative, I'm just going to pull it up and make it positive. Once it gets onto the correct side of the fraction, it goes away. Okay? Last but not least, 14 halves. That's the coefficients out front. 14 divided by 2 is 7, so we'll put a 7 out front. And there's nothing left for the denominator, so I really do not need that right there at all. And so, that is my simplified answer. Number 14 is the exact same thing, just more numbers. That's all it is. And with parentheses, which if you look at it, you can remove every last one of those parentheses. So if you want to go ahead and try it, please do it. I would suggest giving it a try. But if not, let's at least simplify it a little bit. Start off by making it a little cleaner. So we've got 21. I've got an x to the negative 3/2. Y to the square root of y is y to the 1/2. And that's z to the 5/2. Over 7 to the negative 1. X to the 1/2. Y to the negative 1/2. And z. So if that looks easier to you now that they're all a little bit cleaner, go ahead and try it. Otherwise, here we go. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take care of all the negatives. All right, I got negative exponents everywhere, so let's clean those up so I know what to do. If they're on the bottom, move them up. If they're on the top, move them down. So I've got 21. The 7 is negative, so I'm going to move that up to make it positive. The x to the 3/2, that goes on bottom now. So that's x to the 3/2 times x to the 1/2. Alright. I got a y to the 1/2 on top, and I got that negative y to the 1/2 on bottom, so I need to move that one up to make it positive. And then last but not least, I got z to the 5/2 over z. Okay, there's no negatives to take care of there. So from here, really, I'm just adding and subtracting exponents. 21 times 7. What's 21 times 7? 21 times 7 is 147. So that's 147. Okay. My y's, since they are both on top, if they are multiplying each other, we add the exponents. So 1/2 plus 1/2 is 1. So simply it's a y. Just like my x's are both on bottom. All right, so they're multiplying each other, so we add the exponents. 3/2 plus 1/2 is 2. So on bottom, I'm going to have x squared. Last but not least, I have a z on top and a z on bottom. Since they are dividing each other, we subtract the exponents. So 5/2 minus 1 is 3/2. And since there's more on top than on bottom, it's going to go on top. So z to the 3/2. And that is your answer. Cool? That's about as simplified as it gets.